Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending upon your time zone. I hope you're all buzzing with excitement because today we're going to jump into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence and specifically how it can drive growth in the pest control industry. Yes, you heard it right. We're about to turn this industry inside ant. All right, well, it's a lousy joke, but here we go. So our webinar today is entitled AI-Driven Growth Use Cases for Pest Control Companies. So AI, or artificial intelligence, is no longer just science fiction. As popularized in movies for the last few decades, we tend to associate AI with robots and taking over the world, but AI is here. And if you're using it correctly, it can help you work smarter, not necessarily harder. And today we're going to dive into how pest control companies like yours can utilize AI to not only streamline your operations, but to drive growth. So buckle up, make sure your seat trays are in their upright positions, that all bugs are securely fastened in their containers, because we're about to take off into the world of AI. So to start off, I think it's time we introduce the brains behind this operation, the ones who are going to guide you on this journey through the AI landscape. But before we do that, my name's Brandon Savage. I'm the head of solution enablement at Vosic. I've spent 20 years working as a customer experience and operations executive at recurring revenue, consumer-facing businesses with hundreds of thousands of customers. My teams have been responsible for customer churn, so I understand the challenge of trying to improve customer attrition, particularly at scale. It's not easy. I'm also an award-winning instructor in the College of Business at Kansas State University and enjoy helping my students learn how to use ChatGPT for good and not evil. So now that I've set the bait, it's time to bring in the big guns. I'm excited to hand over to Dr. Vasu Akula. He's a trailblazer in the world of AI. He's our chief data scientist and one of our esteemed founders. His work's been instrumental in bringing our company to the forefront of artificial intelligence application in diverse industries, including pest control. He has a knack for making complex AI concepts accessible to everyone, and I promise his intelligence about and enthusiasm for this topic is infectious. So over to you, Vasu.
Awesome introduction, Brandon. I love the fact that, how you kind of, brought the pest industry and the excitement around it and the business. And I also had the opportunity to read the pest control survey, participated by 200 plus pest control companies throughout the country. I know this industry is large, but I didn't realize until after reading this survey how big this is, how thriving this is. There might be one or two opportunities there, and how every single company mentioned in this survey can take advantage of the technology and everything. So thank you for the opportunity, Brandon, and super excited about the topic today, because this is actually based on 200 plus pest control companies. In particular about me, I have the privilege of leading our data science team. In fact, I've been doing this in this particular role for 10 plus years. And in general, in the industry, working on data and data-enabled solutions over the last 25 years. So in the next 30 minutes, what we'll do is we'll try to connect what was said in the pest PMP survey about the pest industry and how our expertise in implementing these solutions for many recurring revenue businesses, including pest control industry, can be implemented, and you get to go on a growth path. Doug?
Great, thank you, and good morning. Thank you for the introduction, Brandon. My name is Doug Shapiro. I'm the Chief Sales Officer. I have over 30 years of customer relationship management expertise, and I look forward to our webinar today. Thank you.
All right, so let's jump into it. So as Vasu hinted at, we're going to start off today looking at the Pest Management Professional State of the Industry Report for 2023. It's a goldmine of insights for anyone in the pest control business. So last year, we saw 254 pest management professionals, primarily company owners and presidents, complete a 31-question survey. The respondents were as diverse as the pests you deal with. As we can see from the map, we have good geographical representation with a dominant 43% from the South, 20% from the West, 18% from the Midwest, and 17% from the Northeast, and 2% representing national dealers. So as we take a closer look at these companies and the respondents, as we look at the employee count and the fleet size graphics, the majority of the respondents, 57%, are small scale operations with 1 to 10 employees operating a fleet of 1 to 10 vehicles. But we also have a substantial representation from larger companies. So this mix certainly offers a comprehensive overview of this industry's landscape. So this survey provides some interesting stats regarding planned purchases and budgets for 2023. And as we looked at the planned purchases and budgets for this fiscal year, we see that most companies are expecting a lot of pressure. A whopping 57% expect their budget to increase by at least 11%. 20% expect it to increase by more than 26%. This type of budgetary pressure is really forcing companies to make aggressive changes to maintain profitability. In the words of one of the respondents, for years, a lot of us were in a rut. Now we're out of our comfort zones. We're constantly having to adjust and understand what our risks and rewards are. It's quite the tightrope. And as we combine this pressure in budgets and looking at how companies can bring additional revenue into the business, the survey identified, the top 5 revenue generating species. And we know there's opportunities to go out and do more business to address more pests. And today we want to try to address this need for driving growth, but also using opportunities while managing the costs. And as we look at this survey, particularly at the growth outlook as shared by these respondents, we certainly see some optimism. As respondents were questioned about their anticipated revenue growth, we see that a majority, 56%, the leftmost green bars here, expect growth of at least 10% or more. But we also can't ignore that 44% of the industry respondents expect less than 10% growth, no growth at all, or negative growth in this year. So as we look at these growing buckets, our goal, what we want to help our clients, is to help them be able to move over into a higher revenue growth bucket. So our solution can help you shift. And so as we summarize some of the obstacles that we know companies in this industry expect to face or are currently facing, we can see that here on the left-hand side, whether it's fuel costs rising, inflationary pressures, the increased costs for materials and equipment, the challenge and additional costs associated with finding good labor, and just the general economy, recessionary pressures. We know that these obstacles are a challenge that you're facing. And in order to make up for those additional costs, we know that you need to find ways to be able to increase revenue. Businesses, what our revenue, our costs result in our profits. And so if we know our costs are going to go up, we've got to find ways to be able to drive the revenue up as well. And so as we look at what we believe are some of the top opportunities to be able to balance out the other side of that equation, we see the opportunity to increase referrals, to get some easy sales, to strategically look for ways to increase prices, and doing so in a way that doesn't result in increased attrition, looking for ways to increase repeat business. So how do we reduce customer churn and keep attrition higher? Look for ways, number 4, to be able to upsell services, and then also look for ways to improve employee recruitment. So as I turn the time over to Vasu, we're going to focus on these top 4. We believe that our solution has the ability to be able to help you do all 4 of these things. We've done it with our existing customers, and we look forward to doing it with future customers. And Our solution is uniquely positioned to help you, providing a real shot at turning your growth predictions into reality. So with that, I'll hand over the reins to Vasu to provide specifics on our solution and show you how artificial intelligence can help overcome these challenges and seize these opportunities. Vasu.
Thank you, Brandon. I thought I had this opportunity to go through, in fact, I have a printed copy on my desk. The PMP State of the Industry Survey is really, really insightful. And I particularly like how, it's highlighting, the cost side of it, but also reminding everyone about the revenue side of it and how pest control companies can drive growth using existing customers. In particular, I thought, focus on existing customers is also a good way. When we think of growth, we tend to think of growth by adding new customers, increasing and polishing our sales engines and all of that. But with increasing inflation, the interest rates are raising higher, the cost of capital is raising higher. And this is in particular, I thought, a very, very good time for us to focus on how do we take advantage and drive growth through the existing customers, right? So that's, I thought very timely. So as we go into this slide and the details, as we look at this slide, I have like a lot of customers on this, particular image. As we look at this slide, please think about this as your own business. You may have 100,000 customers or 500,000 customers or 50,000 customers, whatever that number of customers might be, but please think about that. Now, it may not be obvious on the first glance to identify with high enough accuracy to understand who's happy, who's not, who's at cancel risk, who are the high value customers, where are the upsell opportunities, where are the referral opportunities, all of that, but they do exist in your customer base currently, right? Now, because it is not very obvious, what most companies do is they tend to target everyone for everything, right? So they get referral emails, they get upsell emails, they get value proposition emails, they get all kinds of other marketing. And what it really ends up as a result of everything for everyone is it quickly results in unsubscriptions from your email marketing campaigns. No, I don't want to hear because that's not relevant or that's not timely for me, right? Or even when someone is talking with them, let's say in your contact center, they might quickly say, no, because that's not the targeted one, right? So at Wazik, we focus on pre-identifying these opportunities for every single customer, and we call it micro segmentation, right? So what are the micro segments of happy customers? What are the micro segments of high risk to cancel customers? What are the micro segments of customers who are ready for a rate increase? Or what are the customers who are ready for an upgrade, so on and so forth, right? And all of this is made possible using AI, which can be implemented using all your internal data and external data, so on and so forth, right? So now in the next few slides, I'll take each of these use cases that Brandon has identified from the PMP survey, and we'll take a deeper dive into how AI can help with that. And in fact, if we do that, what might be the potential value that each of you can realize for your own business, right? So this is our first use case. It says focus on repeat business. In fact, the best way to achieve this is to extend the life of your existing customers, reducing customer churn, increasing contract renewals, and minimizing the risk against losing those customers to your competitors, right? Now, how AI can help? Of course, it can score every customer for propensity to churn and organize your customers from the highest risk to lowest risk, right? So if your average attrition is 20-25%, AI can actually spread that. It's an average of all your 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 customers. So the 25% probability of cancellation, for some, it might be 60-70, and for some, it might be only 2-3%, right? So AI can score exactly like our FICO scores that our banks use. Here, the propensity to churn score can be assigned to every single customer, right? It can also recommend offers. We package the recommendations and offers into a simple screen that we are seeing on the screen. And this is a screen most of our customers use in their contact center. So it becomes like super easy for your contact center agents to identify the risk indication that's shown with 71% probability here. It also shows their home image. AI can actually identify the top pests that are bothering your customers based on all the interactions that are happening in that particular area. So there are some very, very fascinating technologies that go into AI and text mining and so on and so forth. And also on the bottom right, it not only says this particular customer is at high risk to cancel, it actually gives specific reasons. In this case, there is no inside service. The customer was acquired through door-to-door as opposed to an inbound lead, and they're also at end of contract, right? So these factors and many other factors can drive the risk of cancellation. So this will be automatically identified, and only the customers that fall into this high risk to cancel bucket can now be targeted for renewals, proactive, contacts with them, relevant offers for them and things like that. These offers can also be pre-identified and shown on the top right side. And one particular thing that I want to highlight here, these offers can be completely customized to your business, right? So they can be free one-time service, they can be a rate lock offer, especially, it's becoming attractive with inflation going higher. Or maybe they might even be a free trial for maybe a mosquito service that our PMP State of the Industry report is highlighting, right? So you can take advantage of all of them and apply them to your retention use case or lifetime value extension use case. And before leaving the screen, I want to highlight one particular thing. Now, when we leave these types of offers these are the offers that anybody can offer to every customer. Sometimes our contact centers end up giving these offers in an unprofitable situation, right? So what we also perfected over the years is pre-calculate the net present value of the profit of each of these offers when this is taken by a particular customer. And these NPV numbers are always guaranteeing that we're always giving profitable offers. So our CFO is super happy about these offers, right? So all of this information can be packaged. And that's a very good example of how you can take advantage of internal data, external data, focus on operations, and streamline your activity from where it is to a future state that is more data-driven, in fact, AI-driven, right? Now, if we implement these things, what are the typical benefits, right? We have implemented this for many companies, and the typical range in terms of cancel reduction with this proactive renewals, proactive retention approach is you can expect anywhere between 10 to 12% reduction in cancels. So take a look at whatever number of cancels that happened last year. If your business is roughly staying on the same size, take 5% of the customers and keep them for longer, right? Quickly translates into several millions of dollars in value, right? So that's our response to how these companies from pest control industry can do repeat business with existing customers, acquire the customer, service them for 1 year, lose the customer. You're constantly in the acquisition, service, lose cycle, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? You can absolutely keep customers longer and get into repeat business, right? Okay, now let's look at the second use case that was highlighted in that survey. This is about price increases, right? So with inflation, all the businesses are looking at this, especially recurring revenue businesses like pest control companies, right? While increasing price is obvious, profitable, but it comes with the risk of losing customers. You increase it for too much, or you increase it on the wrong customer, you're only going to get negative word of mouth, and you could also lose some of these customers, right? So now what AI can do is classify these customers into two categories shown on the picture on the right side. It can organize your customers into high, medium, low for price sensitivity. Price sensitivity is nothing but if we change the price by another 5% or 10%, would this customer respond in an adverse way or not, right? And how do we know that? Based on affordability, based on the home in which they're living, based on how did we acquire them, based on did they ever call into the contact center, based on are they on time with payments, even the payment method, right? Are they sending the payments, or is this on a ACH, right? So there are so many different factors that go in, and we have absolutely good ways of identifying the price sensitivity of different customers and classify them into high, medium, low. And then on the top right side, It also identifies when we increase the price, should we increase this by average amount, below average amount, or high amount, right? So that's low, medium, high. Now, if you have these opportunities, you can also maximize certain customers can get more than 5% increase if your average target is to increase by 5%. Not everyone needs to get a 5% increase. Some might actually get 7%, and there is no attrition impact. But some might actually react even with a 3% rate change, right? So this segmentation allows you to be very, very granular and precisely identify when we want to increase the price to different customers, not at the wrong time, not when they're high risk to cancel, but once that situation is addressed, there will be a time for us to increase the price, right? And that allows us not to trigger the attrition, right? So now again, I promise for each of these scenarios, we'll also talk about if we implement, what is the value that you can expect from this one, right? So in this case, we can expect for pest control companies about 4 to 6% price increase without triggering a lot of attrition. Now, this can obviously be adjusted if you are looking for a little more because your costs are increasing even more than this. We can certainly fine-tune the models based on your unique needs and look for, if we are looking for a little higher than that, where do we get that? If a little lower than that, that means like it allows us to keep even more customers. These things can be fine-tuned, right? But generally, expect 5% increase with our models without triggering a lot of attrition, right? All right, now let's get into referrals, right? I love the statistic on the right side. Now, when we think about referrals, we tend to forget the value of a referral customer, right? There are a lot of different numbers about why referral customers are high value. The simplest way to think about this is, of course, they're high value because there is no cost of acquisition, or the cost of acquisition is only the $50 gift card or very small nominal value on referral. But the more important thing here to realize is a referral customer not only is lower cost to acquire, but they will also tend to stay longer with us, right? And as a result, the profit margin is higher, the attrition is lower, and a referral customer can also refer other customers, right? So it creates a very interesting snowball effect for us if we focus and make referrals a strategy to grow, right? Now, how AI can help, again, it will not flag a customer as this is the time to ask this particular customer for a referral when we are targeting that customer for a price increase. Not a good time to ask for a referral right after increasing the price. There will be a time later to ask. Not a good time to ask when the system is also flagging this customer to be high risk to cancel, right? Let's take care of these situations, let time move, and the system will interestingly flag the customer. Now this is the perfect time for us to secure the referral, right? So this is automatically looking at all your 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 customers, and it remembers when the previous event happened, when is the next real target event for this particular customer, and then it starts bubbling up that particular recommendation to the top of the stack, right? So this kind of makes it like really well-oiled engine by using AI and microsegmentation and targeting different customers for different use cases that were highlighted by the PMP survey, right? So now in terms of the business case, how this could look like, how many customers should we expect if we are implementing a referral program? If you are implementing a referral program that is giving like 1 to 2%, you can absolutely implement AI and double or even triple that to a range of 6 to 8%. So if you have 100,000 customers, an additional 6,000 customers every single year using AI-driven referral campaigns is absolutely possible, right? And remember, it's not just the customers, these are high-value customers, right? That means you can upsell them, you can secure additional referrals for them. As you do this operation for 3-4 years, the dynamics of the business completely changes, right? So now let's go to the next one. The fourth one highlighted was upsell the services, right? So pest control companies, at least from our own internal surveys, what we gathered is they focus quite a bit on acquiring customers, whether it is field service operation, door knocking operation, Facebook campaigns, Google campaigns, all of that. They spend so much money in acquiring customers, and the attrition is so high, right? Sometimes as high as 30 to 50%. That means like the customer is canceling within 2 years to 3 years, and they're constantly bringing customers, putting them on a 1-year contract. They reach end of contract, they cancel. They're, from our understanding, they're not heavily focused on upselling to existing customers, which, by the way, keeps the customer longer because you gave something new. And the simplest example that I can think of is my own phone. The phone might be 3-year-old or a 5-year-old phone, but every time I add a new app, it gets new life because I'm now in love with the new thing. And that's precisely addressing my need, right? So the customer is already there. Now think about, ant management service, if that's what is relevant for them, or a cockroach management service, add an additional service, or a mosquito management service. As a one-off thing, you can add them on top of the recurring services, or even do that like once every 6 months, maybe not even every time. All of these are addressing their unique needs. And that's a way to, like the phone example, right? Make the phone fresh or make your service fresh and even charge a little higher and add more value to your customers, right? So PMP survey is clearly recommending this one. Focus on what are your top revenue generating services and what are the highest profit generating services, right? So they're listed here. And AI on the left side, that is indicated with these few bullet points, it can absolutely take advantage of who are the similar customers who bought these services. And we call them like lookalike models. Find other customers who bought these services and give me more of them. And that's where you're going to sell. So you're going to stay away from, I'm going to target every customer for every single thing. No, the price increase customers are different from referral customers, are different from churn customers, who are totally different from upsell customers, right? Hopefully, it's kind of reinforcing some of your ideas and how AI can help you in achieving these. Now, the business case, how do you develop a business case around this one, right? Again, if you have 100,000 customers for simple math, think about another, 4,000 to 6,000 customers with an add-on service, right? And how that happens is by targeting 20,000, 30,000 total prospects from your base, and then reaching them with emails and whenever they call into the contact center, or even empowering your field rep and recommending that you're going to a home that is identified as a high upsell opportunity for this particular service. So educate the customer about the services that we have now, right? And that's how you are going to take advantage of the home visit you are anyway making, right? So think about that 4 to 6% upsells to drive higher revenue, right? And then I have a bonus here that's not identified in the PMP survey. Maybe it is because it goes into the borderline of is this sales or is this existing customers, right? But you are sitting nonetheless on all these leads that you're acquiring every single year, and you're converting a portion of them. But what about the portion of the customers that you have not converted yet, right? And think about, go to your marketing team and ask them, how many leads did we acquire every single year in the last 3 to 4 years? And how many of them have we converted? If your conversion rate is 20%, that means 80% of these inbound leads that you pay Google's and Facebook's and all your lead generation partners all the money, but you haven't converted them. Now, if you go back into last 2 or 3 years, you are probably sitting on 2x to 3x size of your customer base. That is what we call unconverted sales leads. Now, what AI can do is reclassify all these unconverted leads at no cost because you already have them, right? You don't have to pay anyone else. And then, classify them into, if we could convert some of these other customers, if I have one more attempt in, with the right offer, which customers can now be converted, right? And you can absolutely reacquire some of these customers and look for another 3 to 5% additional customers every single year by targeting these unconverted leads, right? So now I'm going to quickly summarize these 5 use cases, right? So this is how the, when it is all implemented, how does that look like? Think about all your customers. Each of them are classified with different AI scores. The micro segmentation for various customers is also shown there. And then most importantly, AI is also coming up with offer guidance, right? So different Customers can have offers for free trials, offers for moving them into a premium service, or offers for add-on service in exchange for a referral, renewal, and so on and so forth, right? So that's how these things will come together. Not that complicated to implement, especially when you consider all the internal data that you have and all these, weather data, neighborhood data, income data that is all floating around and available to integrate with your internal data sources, right? Hopefully, I gave you several ideas for you to consider, and we are happy to have a one-on-one conversation on how we can bring our expertise and help you. With that, I'm going to pass it to Doug about how we have implemented these for others. Doug?
Yes, thank you, Vasu. There we go. These are a few of our customers and the value we drive in their organizations. We accomplish this by combining a robust platform like Vasu had spoken about, a growing list of business applications. We just reviewed those use cases, and a proven portfolio of machine learning models, and a business consulting organization led by senior business leaders and PhDs like Vasu. Our customer feedback that we get, they tell us we've created a unique end-to-end solution that has helped them realize significant business impact. So as we wrap up the webinar, I'd like to thank all of you for your time and interest. And I have 3 offers to share with you today. Number 1, please go ahead and download the ebook for some transformational insights based on our conversation today. And 2, we encourage you to invite us in for a maturity assessment that will provide you with insight to your current customer retention programs, your supporting processes, technology, and as we talked about today, somewhat of a peer review and how you compare to your peers. And finally, for all the attendees on this webinar, we're offering a 50% discount for the first year on our AI software and services to help you retain, guess what, your most valuable asset, your customers. I want to thank you on behalf of the team for your time today. I'll turn it back to Brandon for any questions that we might have in our chat.
All right. I know that we're a little bit over our time, but we do have at least one question here that I think might be interesting to discuss. So, Vasu, you mentioned about using both internal and external data sources for AI implementation. Could you elaborate on what kind of external data sources are useful and how do they impact the AI's predictive capabilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, we all know, right? Weather information, summer patterns versus winter patterns, they kind of influence the pest activity, right? So certain pests thrive in humid climates, and when the water water levels are close, and also hotter temperatures and colder temperatures, all of that. So over the years, we found pretty good value for weather information. And when we think of weather, it's not just temperature; it's also humidity levels by different areas. And if we think of our country, especially for the national players, there is variety of humidity levels, right? And also the water moisture levels, right? So those things are helping. Of course, we also mind every zip code in the country, and the affordability levels are different across different zip codes. They have discretionary income, even in the inflationary environment. They do want to keep these types of services and things like that. So neighborhood information is also helping. And the biggest of all, Brandon, I would say, is the home itself. This is a home service, right? So what type of home? What type of lot? Is this a 1 acre lot? Is this a no lot, right? Is this a townhome? Is this a very big yard, independent home, right? All of those things. And when the house was built, is it an old home, right? Or is it a new home, right? The value of the home increases. And in fact, that is the pest control industry, one of the value propositions, protect your home and increase the value of these things by maintaining that, right? It goes deep into core value proposition of that. And we found that type of external data that we have acquired and systematically, perfected over the last 10+ years.
All right, thank you. Well, one last question here has to do with how long does it take to set up your solution, and when can we expect to see results?
Maybe, Brandon, that's good for you to answer, or should I take that?
I'll let you take it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So this is usually, we call it like a 90-day implementation process. Our customers love it because this is within 1 quarter, right? So we start, let's say July. By the end of the Q3, we should be fully operational. Now, what do we mean fully operational? That means all your internal data is organized. All our third-party data is already integrated. We already have several meetings with your subject matter experts, retention experts, marketing experts. We go on site, consult with them, understand what they're already doing, precisely identify the high value opportunities. All of that is done. We also create a roadmap for, PMP magazine identified 5 different use cases, right? Which use case is the low-hanging opportunity for us to target? Should we target referrals? Should we target price increase? Should we target upsells? Should we target retention? Because you don't want to do all of them on the same day, right? So all of those things are identified. And then servers are running, data exchanges are happening, predictive models are starting to predict, and your team members from marketing teams for price campaigns and upsell campaigns, or your contact center teams or field teams, they're also starting to see in their browser, am I talking with a high-risk customer? Am I talking with a referral customer? Am I talking with an upsell customer? They're starting to see all of that. Now we're talking about all of that with no internal dependency on your IT teams, other than allowing us to grab your data from different data sources and things like that. Outside of that, a couple of weeks of internal need, there's no additional need, because Wazik will run all of this operation in the cloud, and our data scientists will take our templates, customize them to your unique business needs, and put them into motion, right? So to do all of this, we bring necessary resources, so you don't have to worry about, I need a fractional marketing, I need a fractional BI, I need a fractional architect, I need a data scientist, I need training, I need hiring, right? None of that is the overhead for our customers, and all of this will be accomplished within 1 quarter.
All right. Thank you, Vasu. So thank you to everyone who joined today. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you, and fully expect to see a LinkedIn invite from me in the next few minutes once we're done. We'd love to do everything we can to be able to answer any additional questions you have, and to see if a partnership would make sense. To wrap things up, it's clear that leveraging the power of artificial intelligence can greatly enhance the efficiency and the effectiveness of pest management company strategies. By providing the ability to accurately predict and respond to customer behavior, artificial intelligence tools can significantly reduce churn rates and stimulate business growth. Moreover, they enable companies to smartly allocate resources based on data-driven insights. This means a more targeted approach to customer engagement, and ultimately an optimized return on investment. By embracing this intelligent, automated approach, pest management professionals can stay ahead of the industry trends, better serve their existing customers, and seize those growth opportunities in a proactive, data-driven manner. So thank you very much for your participation today, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you, everyone.